Welcome back. You're watching WION The World is One, and this is the continuous coverage of the U.S. elections on our channel. Now, early leads and victories have begun being registered. Donald Trump and Kamala Harris have both opened their account in this action-packed presidential race. Now, Donald Trump has won the election in Florida and 8 other states. Of course, we're going to be showing you the map to trace you through it. Now, on the other hand, Harris has taken Maryland, Massachusetts, Vermont, Rhode Island, Connecticut, and the U.S. capital, Washington, D.C. So far, that gives Harris 35 electoral votes, and Trump has 95. Now, Georgia is a crucial battleground in this year's election, is seeing a seesaw battle between both the candidates. Of course, let's take you to the map now. All right, now let's just take a look at the map. Okay, this is the total leads that were coming in. Of course, we're tracking AP for the leads. And of course, this is what you see. Trump is at 181, Harris at 141, and you have 538 total seats. Now let's look at the map now. So we give you a perspective of where everyone stands. Ohio is with, of course, it's a seesaw happening. Trump is leading. Indiana has been taken by Trump. Kentucky been taken by Trump. Now, interestingly, let's take a look at the swing states now. North Carolina. Of course, we see Harris is leading here, which is interesting because since 2008, Republicans have taken this part. But of course, Pennsylvania is another swing state. Very interesting when we look at this because the counting has begun there, of course. So, of course, we see Harris leading here, but these are early leads now. We're not going to get excited there. So, of course, we see West Virginia has been taken by Trump. And so this is how the map looks right now. It's just why 187, Trump is at 187 and Harris is 141. The swing states, when we look at it, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, really, really, really important. Michigan, of course, is blue now. So this is how it looks. North Dakota, of course, you have there. And Vermont, of course, these small states have been blue now. So this is, so far, we have these leads now. Let's take a look and get some perspective. Now, what we have on air with us is Caroline Pursuti. She's joining us from Florida, our reporter. Now, thank you so much for joining us on air.
Absolutely, we're here.
Great.
Now we Palm Beach.
Yeah. Of course, I think it's pretty exciting there. Florida has been taken by Trump. What do you gather from the ground? Tell us more.
Well, I can tell you, we are inside the Palm Beach County Convention Center. You can see all the people behind me. There are about 200 people behind me, but then about 100 that way. And over on that side of the convention center floor, they're sitting at tables, much like a restaurant. They're getting a lot of Cabernet Sauvignon wine. I do know that. And there's a lot of food coming to them over there. Haven't seen Donald Trump yet, but he is supposedly in the building. He's just waiting until more results come out. When the Florida results were announced in this room, oh my gosh, you could hear the cheer and the claps and everything. They were very happy to see that Florida went toward Trump. Let me show you one thing which is very interesting, because if I had to say in one word what this room feels like to me, the supporters behind me, they're optimistic. Maybe they were worried about the razor thin, narrow margin between the two candidates in all the polls. Tonight, though, they came into this room optimistic and hoping for a victory party. So much so that these hats were handed out as they walked in the door. So you can see it's MAGA, Make America Great Again, right? And in the back, let me show you, it says Trump. And then look over here. It says 45, because he was the 45th president, but it already labels him as the 47th president, which if he is elected, that's what he would be. But isn't that interesting? The hats are already made up and they're already being handed out.
Absolutely. Now, tell us about these. Of course, there's excitement out there in Florida. Tell us about the issues that people have been bringing up there. And because we know when we started looking at the polls, democracy was one of the topics people looking at. Economy was somehow below, but we had democracy. Talk more about that.
Everyone I've spoken to hasn't mentioned democracy unless they're Harris supporters. Interviewing Harris supporters, they will mention democracy as their number one issue. For this crowd, it's immigration. Trump has promised to have a huge deportation of immigrants of his first week in office. Sometimes he even says the first day in office. For these supporters, they're all about that. They say we need to get a better handle on our immigration system in this country. They blame Harris and Biden for allowing in more immigrants who are undocumented. So when you talk to this crowd, it's all about immigration. Secondly, it's all about the economy. You're talking about the price of eggs and the price of bread and the price of everything else. They say inflation needs to be brought down. We need a better economy. And they say that Trump did that during his first term, which was before the Biden term. So they say we want him back for that reason.
Right. Now, Florida is also a bellwether state, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yes. Absolutely.
So let's talk about that a little bit. So Florida, it has really changed because Florida now is a location for a lot of retirees to go to from the United States. So that boosts the age up, right, overall in Florida. Older people tend to be more conservative, and they tend to be Republican voters. So, yes, Florida has definitely changed throughout the years, and now it is a red state. And to help that out is the fact that Donald Trump does live with Melania about 3 kilometers away from where I'm standing at Mar-a-Lago. So a little bit south, a little bit east of here, where we are in Palm Beach County, is Mar-a-Lago, their home. So, of course, that boosts up the support for them, too. Hometown guy, right?
Absolutely. Now, let's also go to other swing states, right? North Carolina has been often, of course, Trump was someone who was saying that, yes, we're going to win it. But somehow the leads, I'm going according to the AP leads, Harris is leading it. Talk more on that.
Right. So Voice of America hasn't called North Carolina yet, but I can tell you this much. Trump was there yesterday, right, during his tour of 3 main swing states. He was in Michigan, he was in Pennsylvania, he was in North Carolina. Harris spent her time in 5 Pennsylvania cities. That's how important Pennsylvania is for these 2 candidates. It carries 19 electoral votes, which is the highest of all the swing states. Swing states being that kind of state that could go either way. They could go Republican, they could go Democrat. We won't know until the end of the night, maybe not until tomorrow, who knows, maybe into the week, I don't know. But North Carolina, yes, it's still a toss-up right now. Again, we just don't have enough.
Absolutely.
We don't have enough polls.
Let me just give you an update now. Donald Trump, we saw Harris leading, and of course this is changing in seconds. Donald Trump is ahead with 51%, Kamala Harris 47%. This is a very tight race. We were talking about how tight races are going, and we see the results trickling in. It is the same. What do you say on that?
We all knew going into this tonight that this would be very tight between these 2 candidates. That the polls have always shown how tight they are, razor thin margins. But I can tell you this, I heard a pollster yesterday say, the polls don't really show how close they are. It just shows that we don't know who's going to win. So that's another way to look at it, I guess. But everything is going to be extremely close. And that's why I don't really think we're going to have a winner tonight, but we shall see.
All right. Now, let's talk about the demographics as well. Let's talk about Florida. What kind of demographics did you find there in that state?
Demographics in Florida they skew much older. They skew white. When you go down to Miami, they skew Hispanic. So it just depends where you are in Florida. But overall, retirees, overall, the age brings up this state. Now, if you're talking about demographics that Donald Trump was going after, he really was courting the young male white voter. That's why he went on the podcast Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan has thousands and thousands of listeners. 80% are male. So he tried to get a lot of those young males. Joe Rogan endorsed him last night, which could have given him a bump. Also, J.D. Vance, Donald Trump's running mate, also went on the Joe Rogan show. In addition to that, Donald Trump also appeared on the podcast with Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick, a very famous football coach in this country. Again, to try to get that white male vote. We'll see if he did that because there is a gender gap in this country. Harris getting a lot of the women, Trump getting a lot of the men. So they're both trying to do crossover by appealing to the other normal demographic that would vote for them.
All right. We'll get back to you. Of course, there's a lot of things to discuss. The economy, the gender gap is another topic. Just stay with us, Caroline. We'll come back to you.